the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. MHO show is back, and we are here during AV month, and we're going to come at you with some new topics and some hot topics, some stuff ripped from the headlines. I'm here joined again by my fabulous co-hosts. Let's start with Melissa. Melissa, how you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing really well. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing great. Mike, how are you?
Good evening, Chris. I am back. I am no longer undercover, and believe it or not, I've actually gotten over all the diseases too. So
That's
I'm ready to roll.
We love germ-free Mike. It's a pleasure. So right off the bat, we've been on the road. We've been doing our thing, both as techs and our daily work jobs and all this crazy stuff that we've been up to. But one thing that came out today was, actually over the weekend, was Bill Belichick, coach of the New England Patriots. Fan, not fan, that's up to you guys. Personally, there's a Giants connection there, which I do like, but that's a whole nother 15-minute show, maybe even an hour-long show. Anyway, so we caught Mr. Belichick, or Coach Belichick, smashing a Surface tablet on the sidelines. And what does this have to do with AV? That's what the topic of our show is. Now, for most people, myself, Mike, Melissa, we are consultants, we're integrators, we are business owners. We are whatever, we've been in those roles. What Mr. Belichick or Coach Belichick did this past weekend, smashing that tablet, if you would like to read more about the story, Commercial Integrator did a piece about it recently. You can find that on their website. My point is, I'm reading through this article. The man's not happy with the technology crapping out on him. So my question to Melissa, we'll start with you. Is this indicative of technology versus old school? Is this new school versus old? I mean, back in the day, those prints were prints. They were physical prints, thermal laminate copies. I know I ran them. Off to the coaches, stapled, handed on to the defensive line coaches, whatever. And they're going through paper copies looking at this. These are pictures. They're not moving images. Now today, it's on a Surface tablet. They're getting video. They're trying to make it work. You think it's new school versus old, or is this indicative of a bigger problem?
I think when it comes to new school versus old, this is typical Microsoft, isn't it? I mean, who hasn't had a Microsoft product that they didn't want to chuck out into the road and see how many times it got ran over? To me, this is just Microsoft being Microsoft, or technology being technology. Microsoft probably gets the brunt of it because they're the largest, but to me, it's just a matter of, there was a failure. I'm a little more concerned about why there's a failure. And where were the folks there that hopefully are monitoring this and making it work? I mean, come on, a stadium and a football field's not that huge. Surely we can get signals across. So to me, it's, the theory of it's good enough, and that we have a lot of problems when it comes to using some of these softwares. So that's my take.
What's your thought on it, Mike? Is it good enough the problem, or is this a generational thing?
Look, technology fails. We all know that. We deal with it on a regular basis, and anybody that's buying technology needs to understand that as well. In my personal opinion, as a Giants fan, I think potentially the failure may have been that he wasn't able to actually see the camera feed behind the coaches that were actually picking the plays, and that's what caused him to just break that display. However, he does need some level of support. It didn't look like to me that he had a support person readily available at the standby. And when you have the budgets of the NFL, I mean, you should have somebody standing right there. Not only that, there should be redundancy. There should be another panel ready to go. I don't blame him for losing his temper, especially when he's in the heat of a play. I do think that, however, the technology needs to be examined as it's going to fail. It's technology. Now, Melissa, to your point, you're absolutely right. Microsoft continues to put out updates and things that will hinder the ability for the technology to succeed every single time, but that's what the support people are for. So I think that there should have been somebody there. There should have been someone that understands the technology and at the hand, readily available, a redundant device.
So this is what we've come to. We've come to the point even in the sports world where an IT guy needs to be standing there next to Bill Belichick or any said coach at this point, because the technology could possibly fail. We accept that. We know that, but that's our business. We know that there is possible little problems that could come up and that you do need to fix it, but we strive for perfection, right?
You don't think Melissa actually wants to weigh in on this, do you?
I think Melissa's ready to kick the door down. Go ahead,
You're
Melissa.
killing me, Chris. What do you mean the IT guy needs to be there? It's not the IT guy that needs to fix this. It's
Who's
the
that
guy.
Who's that person?
AV. Hello. You know us. We're the guys who nobody knows. We're the guys who make this stuff work. No, not the IT guy. You're killing me.
But Melissa, this is where I'm going to disagree with you. Again, I look at it as we're all one world anymore. The AV is a subset, as I've mentioned previously on the show, that we are a part of the overall IT strategy for any organization. So when I said an IT person, I didn't necessarily mean it needed to be a networking administrator. It didn't need to be a desktop support specialist, but it did need to be somebody that understood the technology, specifically the technology that he was using.
Oh, Mike, just feed it to me, Mike. Bring it to me.
This is where it goes a little weird. Melissa, go ahead.
Conveniently, we're going to discuss this in another episode, but I was at a huge IT conference, and hey, those guys don't know AV, and they didn't want to know AV. They relied on the mystery man behind the curtain who's handling all those problems. So, yeah, we may be a subset, but they certainly don't want me to come in and set up their network for them. Likewise, I don't want them to try to explain to Mr. Belichick why his tablet didn't work.
Yeah, but an organization like the New England Patriots, I mean, they should have somebody that's specialized to actually look into this specific stream that is happening to his laptop, to understand the video technology, the transport technology, and be there as a support factor. And that's not just the video technology, but also somebody that is educated well enough to be able to troubleshoot any kind of a lockup that Windows would cause too. I think we're moving into a world where we need to understand multiple layers of technology in this type of an organization. The ideal candidate for somebody that should be standing next to Bill Belichick is somebody who understands Windows troubleshooting as well as video transfer troubleshooting, that understands the way that wireless video traverses a network. I think that's fair. I don't think that's unreasonable, especially since I deal with customers on a corporate level at this point that do have those types of people that are at the ready to support anything that is necessary for an executive. I don't think it's unreasonable to ask that.
I think we should have had Chris Netto there with this crazy glue, putting it all back together for him.
That's what I do when in a pinch. But talking about wireless, that brings up an interesting question. Now, not knowing the infrastructure and the wireless infrastructure that the NFL uses in these stadiums, how fast or how good can that video be? What can they jack that thing up to get on their tablets? Now, the tablets can do 1080p, maybe 4K. I'm not specifically sure what type or what model Surface they have, and I'm sure it is completely gutted and just for that single purpose of receiving their signal. But how fast could they possibly have jacked that thing up?
Oh, come on. If in NASCAR I can do a wireless live stream of a car doing 180 some miles an hour around a track with 30 other cars, surely to goodness we can handle a couple of coaches on a football field.
Well, and I happen to I do know the manufacturer that is handling the video transport portion for the NFL, and their latency is so low, it's ridiculous. His lockup didn't happen because of a failure from a video transport. His lockup happened because of a failure of Microsoft, to Melissa's point earlier, in my opinion. Now, obviously, I don't know all the details, and I'm not going to certainly sit here and accuse Microsoft of a massive failure for the New England Patriots. However, I do know the technology that is used to transport the video, and I'm as sure as I'm sitting here, I can tell you right now that it was not a failure of the video transport.
Thank you, Mike, for giving us your humble opinion on that one. Melissa, would you like to rebuttal on that before we close out this show?
Yeah, like I said, it's easiest to lay the blame at Microsoft. Don't get me wrong. I just went to their Ignite show. It was fantastic. They've got a lot of good stuff in the pipeline. But typically when we see a failure like this, it's usually the software. So, that's probably the first place I would have checked.
There we go.
That's just my humble opinion.
Exactly. So we're basically needling it down to the choke point. That's it for this episode of the MHO show. I'm Chris Netto. I'm joined by co-hosts Melissa and Mike. Melissa, where can people find you on the internet?
Oh, breaking news. Released first here. You can find me at all4 av.com. Or at Mrs. D at all4av.com. And you can also find me on Twitter, of course. Melissa Dillman or all4av.
If you don't know what it is, you need to Google that. You need to take a look on the Twitters and see what Melissa's talking about. I wish I had some cool gang signs to flash about all4av, but I'm not that coordinated. Mike, where can people find out more about you?
I am all over the social medias, as they say, and at AXP Mike, if you want to follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Snapchat, everything in between. Chris, back to you.
And there you have it, folks. That is our MHO show where we basically took a halftime. No halftime. We did it faster than the New England Patriots could, even with a broken Surface tablet. You can find me at Chris_Netto on Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me just about anywhere. You can check out my company at avhelpdesk.com. They are the people that I work for on a daily basis. And you can obviously check out this show and others on AVNation.tv. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks, everybody, for listening. This has been the MHO Show.